Oh, and Trish has first blood this morning. Good morning, everybody. I've got Cameron and Mario here, and we're going to talk about a couple of different things. So first off, okay, there's a lot. There's a whole lot. And I'm telling you guys, it was everything I could do to convince myself to do this show that Mario suggested instead of talking about the drones. Because everybody's talking about the damn drones, and maybe I can touch on that a bit later on. But and Uncle Steve, I haven't forgotten about you and your Inspire One, but the lens situation there's a little tricky. But there's a lot of stories going on right now that are important in the way that they relate to one another. There was the shooting yesterday at the Abundant Life Church, I believe, or the Abundant Life Christian Academy, I believe is the name of the school. There was a total lockdown on Fort Eisenhower this weekend over an active shooter on a military base here in Georgia. And
Fort Gordon.
I want to talk about, why we see these little girls losing their damn minds. So I guess first let's talk about the fact that there was a shooting yesterday. And Mario, I think you've got a little more of the backstory there, so I'm gonna punt it to you in just a second. I want to share this article from the AP. Teacher and teenage student killed in a shooting at a Christian school in Wisconsin. So this is the article as it was breaking yesterday. I believe that's been updated. There were a few casualties.
Yeah. So first of all, if there's a school shooting, much like Rush Limbaugh's drive-by media, we just can't help ourselves. It's going to have to make it on the program. Okay, so the girls, yes, Abundant Life, it's a Christian school, all right, in Wisconsin, all right. She did come to school with a pistol, basically opened fire. She killed a teacher. She killed one other student. She maimed seven students and then turned the gun on herself and ended her own life, all right. Her name was Samantha Rupnow. She's 17 years old. She is not not transgender, like a lot of people on the media or on the internet were, we're talking about yesterday, because it just, that's kind of the profile we're working with right now, and that's why this shooting is of interest, because it's a girl. It was what should be a normal teenage girl, who was driven to commit like the ultimate act of evil. Like, how is it possible? What's going on in her life? What's going on in the unmoderated Roblox chat room? Okay, like this is looks like a pretty clear case of like the internet. Okay, giving a teenager unrestricted access to the internet, you might as well give her a gun. Okay, which her father did as well. Right. But she was suicidal. She expressed admiration for other mass shooters, which is in her sloppily constructed manifesto, which I've read part of. And she apparently tricked her father into giving her the pistol. And she had her boyfriend who was they were e-dating, I guess, so long distance, just dating over the internet. He's the one who basically got with several prominent Twitter-based personalities to kind of reveal the manifesto and reveal the truth about what happened. So that's what we're going off of. But yeah, seven injured and 3 dead, including her, Samantha Rupnow. So those are the basic facts. That's what we know. She hated herself. She hated humanity, and spelled that out in her manifesto, which I guess we're not going to read, but it is available on Twitter if anyone's interested in finding it. So reading it, I'm like, I don't think they teach punctuation anymore in public school, because the whole manifesto is basically a run-on sentence with 0 punctuation. But
yeah, and they basically don't teach, at public schools.
Mm-hmm.
your children will be better educated if you just keep them home and let them watch Big Bang Theory instead of going to a public school.
Boy, and that's a low bar.
Yeah, that's rock bottom.
At least their vocabulary will be expanded by reading the titles.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So obviously this situation is awful. And full disclosure, I was hesitant to even discuss it this morning. I don't know that we have enough facts for it to be a fact that we can say we have facts. However, the weaponized autism of the internet ends up being correct, at least in the correct general direction. So if there's a whole bunch of people online saying, I've made contact with the boyfriend, he's provided a manifesto, the internet is probably correct. On a long enough timeline, the internet remains undefeated.
The problem with the internet, any given story, or if any kind of, if there's a happening, if you will, right? You're going to have a dozen different people spewing straight bullshit and disinformation about what happened. But there's one person in the same chat room that's actually telling you the absolute truth, and you have to figure out which one it is. So,
right, and well, just like with the shooting of the UHC CEO last week, as soon as this happened, there were multiple fake manifestos printed, making all kinds of different claims. Where basically what you've got is political operatives trying to take advantage of the fact that there's something running in the headlines and try to grab onto the hashtags, grab onto the trend lines, and put out a political message and blame one group or another for the incident and say that it is the fault of this group. And hey, we're going to do it this morning. I'm going to make some claims about whose fault it is that this girl went crazy. That's going to be part of the conversation we're having. But just like the UHC CEO assassination last week, immediately there were these fake manifestos, and you've got talking heads on the left and right saying that it's because of the talking heads on the right and left, just instantaneously. Just like the Christchurch shooting, we now know pretty conclusively that shooter wrote a manifesto with the intent of making it sound like his opposition was who he supported. That's called black propaganda. It's when you create propaganda that is designed to appear as if it is propaganda generated by your opposition with the intent of using your phony propaganda message to color the perception of your opposition by their own support line. Black propaganda often works by trying to convince. So, okay, we've seen a lot of leftist personalities say, move over to the right, right? You got your Tulsi Gabbards, your RFKs, Elon Musk even, and they've said the left has gone completely nuts, and so we're moving away from that. What black propaganda does is it attempts to create the narrative that makes people do that makes people say, wow, I'm not with those guys anymore. Like, I agree with them on some things, but they have lost the plot. They've gone completely crazy. So like the Christchurch shooter is a good example of that, where the objective of that manifesto was to make conservatives, pro-gun guys, etc., say, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're not Nazis here. We're not this. And I'm not saying that the manifesto that came out that is apparently her manifesto that Mario was talking about that was so badly written. I'm saying that there have been multiple manifestos published in relation to yesterday's shooting, in relation to the UHC shooting, and
It's
other shootings.
But information.
Correct.
The Nashville tranny shooter. Okay, there were fake manifestos published or disseminated. Okay, after that attack as well, and Crowder actually was able to chase down the real one.
And Cameron just mentioned false flags, so it seems pedantic, but it is not a distinction without a difference. All false flags are black propaganda, but not all black propaganda are false flags. So the difference between what what you're really talking about when you say false flag, and what I'm describing here is a false flag event is where you plan the event in advance. What I'm talking about here with the manifestos, I see you rolling your eyes, Cameron, but it is an important distinction. It's like the distinction between treason and sedition. What I'm talking about here is where an event occurs, and then you craft the false flag narrative afterward. That's the black propaganda piece. So I'm not saying that these shootings were planned in advance to create the false flag event. I'm saying that they are incidents that occurred, and then the propagandist is able to take advantage of it having happened.
Right.
I was just making a comparison. I'm just trying to simplify things, but
I wasn't even listening. Anyway,
drink more coffee, shithead.
So, anyway, one of the things about this particular school shooting that really kind of struck me is the girl looks like my teenage daughter. Okay, and that it makes you wonder, like, how well do we communicate? How well do we communicate with our teenage children, right? I mean, how much of when we interact with people in our daily lives, you know, we put on masks, we hide our true intentions, we don't reveal our personal thoughts outside of very small communities, and you know what's going on in your kid's head that she's not telling you, that she's not talking to anyone about, or worse, what she's talking about, you know, with people online. Are there anonymous people online talking to your children who are serving as mentors to them? Do they have their best intentions in mind? What did you, when you see your kid zoned out on a tablet, you know, for hours on end, what's really going on behind that screen? And you know, when we were kids, it was common for parents to, you know, everyone's parents have done it. Do they just put you in front of the TV and turn on a show just to be your electronic babysitter for a while? You know what I mean? But at least with that type of scenario, the parent can see exactly what's on the television. Okay, there's nothing hidden, and there's no interaction beyond just the surface level, you know, visual media. But with the internet, that's totally different. It's interactive, and there's way more avenues for someone to negatively affect your child or kind of warp your child into something you wouldn't want them to be. So I guarantee a lot of that was going on with this girl prior to the shooting, and I'm guessing her parents had no idea, or they didn't want to know, or worse, they didn't want to know.
So for a lot of parents, this is extremely difficult. As often as possible, I was sitting at the table playing Magic the Gathering with my 9-year-old boy yesterday, and asking him what's going on in school. What are you guys talking about in classes? You know, we homeschool, but we use an online program to supplement some of the curriculum, and so he does have interaction with other children through that. I don't let any of my kids on social media unsupervised. I say unsupervised because we'll sit there and watch little videos on YouTube with the kids. You know, it's a great way. Hey, we're learning about raising bees because we want to get some apiaries and beehives and start making honey on the property out here, stuff like that. But you know, my kids don't have Facebook accounts or Twitter accounts, etc. They're going to want to eventually. Vera's probably going to be very interested in that in the near future. She's a teenage girl, but as often as possible, like I love to, you know, grab one of the kids, cup of coffee, come sit out on the patio and just talk and ask questions and have sometimes bizarre conversations. Whatever. And I'm lucky. I've got the time to do that. I'm in a not unique position, but I got to retire early, and I've got the time to do that with my kids. I understand not every parent has the time to just sit down and talk to their kids and ask them what's going on. What do you think about this? A few weeks ago, we did a show. This is probably a couple of months ago. Anyway, we had done a show about. It was when they had the abortion bus at the DNC, and my eldest said, "Well, but what if a woman's pregnant and she's not going to survive the delivery, or what if she was a victim of assault?" And I'm like, "Now hold up," and we had that conversation, and it became very clear very quickly that you've heard something about this from somebody else.
Yep.
Somebody is poisoning your mind and telling you and trying to convince you that recreational abortion is the correct solution to the problem of recreational promiscuity. And we're going to nip that shit in the butt right now. Right.
Yep.
And, we try to insulate them from the psychopaths that are actively trying to access them through the internet. And it's not possible to shut it off entirely without basically cutting ourselves off from the world entirely, which is not something I'm willing to do at this point.
Yeah. You have to manage this. You have to actively manage this, because you can't hide the internet from your child forever, because all of us have to use the internet in our actual, our daily work. It's unavoidable. And you can't go Ted Kaczynski and drag your kids out into the woods, into a cabin. And that's how you end up getting ruby ridged. So, yeah, that's a tough one.
I don't know that it's quite as simple as, and internet bad and it double bad for teenage girls. And look, let me be clear. Let me be clear. I understand that the data is trending toward that for women in particular. There's a lot of problems with the internet. It feeds the worst parts of the female narcissistic psyche, and that's not a slam on women. It's just what the data fucking points to. I've got it on that same page. However, as you guys just pointed out,
thinking, yes. Mm-hmm.
However, as you guys just pointed out, the world we live in is largely online. So you have to teach your children about being online. Like, 100 years ago, you taught your kid to ride a horse. And then, about 60 years ago, well, you taught your kid to drive, because the horse wasn't the primary method of transportation. Now the car is the primary method of transportation. Well, apparently now the kids are not even in a hurry to get their license, because they could just call an Uber from their smartphone. So now what we have to teach our children is the world that we live in. And even if we were to take screens completely out of the equation, and not just like iPads, or even televisions, when your kids went outside to play, look, guys, did you ever go outside to play when you were a kid? I know the two of you did, because we're of similar age and have similar parentage.
Yeah.
While you were outside playing, did you do shit that your parents never found out about? And it's a good thing they didn't find out about, because they would have tanned the shit out of your hide.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The internet's not terribly different in that sense. Now, there are a lot of people that can weaponize, monetize the predatory nature of the internet, obviously. But just on a really basic surface level, the internet is just the woods behind your house now, or the lake that's a half-mile bike ride away, or whatever. It has to be managed the same way our parents managed us. Chris, your dad asked in the chat, so how do we keep our kids safe? And I think that's really, that's the point that could be drilled down to.
Yeah, and that's a great question. It's difficult. When I was a teenager, I had my little part-time job, like 30 hours a week at the kitchen at Bowdoin College, and I'd ride my bicycle downtown to you didn't just There was no direct deposit in 1995, 1996. You had to ride your bicycle downtown to go to the damn bank. And there's a movie theater there, and there was a pizza joint there, and there was a nerd shop there. We played Magic the Gathering, and there were bums. There were homeless guys out there, and some of those guys were dangerous. Now, some of them, you could buy them airplane model glue because nobody would sell it to them, and they'd go get you some beer, and that was important when you're 15, 16 years old and you need something to go with that cigar. Yep. But I mean, that's what it was like to be a kid when I was a kid. We
need something to go with your Swisher Sweets.
We boxed, we fought, we worked, we drank, we smoked, we played magic cards, we rode bikes down dangerous mountains, and sometimes you get where you're going in February on a bicycle, and you get off your bike and you have to have somebody help you break the ice on your jacket. It's a completely different world. The internet was beginning to be a thing at that time. I was a co-sys op on a BBS system called nukethewhales.com. We were basically publishing political propaganda back then for chuckles. It was just a big joke. It was fun because the internet was just this kind of passing fad that wasn't going anywhere. Yep. But that's not what it is today. No. And we could take this. We could do this conversation, kind of start from here and go a completely different route and have a whole separate additional 1 hour show talking about what our expectations are for the difference between the internet that looked like a fad in the 90s and whether or not you understand that that's what AI is now. It's that level of Gutenberg revolution. And, that's something that we also have to be aware of.
I think making the internet safer for youth would be it'd be a lot easier if we could just summon the political will to just ban pornography. I don't think pornography is a First Amendment issue at all. I think it should be banned off the internet or restricted as much as possible. And the fact that it's out there and that it's free clearly means that the end user is the product that they're looking for. So,
this is not a direction I expected this conversation to go this morning, but
it's the worst. It's the most dangerous thing on the internet for a child, hands down. I'd rather them watching like cartel gore videos, okay?
Yes.
Than watching like hardcore pornography.
And I'm going to bring this back around to AI in just a second on the same topic. It's interesting that you mentioned that. Yesterday there was a trending thing on X where people were debating whether or not Sydney Sweeney is attractive, right? And there are people saying
the internet will argue about anything.
Right.
She's so mid, bro. She's mid.
Right. I mean, just that.
Yeah, she's only a 9.95. She's not a 10.
Yep.
Yeah. The idea that this girl, where's a good.
Bro, you don't need to show us a picture of Sydney Sweeney. We all know what she looks like. We would all bend over backwards just to see what she looks like upside down.
So I actually watched Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles put out a video. This relates to the porn thing. Michael Knowles put out a video, and he talked about this. Look at this girl. This girl, she's wholesome. She is objectively attractive. This is a good-looking woman. Objectively attractive. And Michael Knowles tied the fact that people can even debate whether or not she's attractive to porn, like Mario was talking about, because what's happening with that is people who watch porn, they don't just watch people having sex. It actively tries to warp your mind into watching people have more and more depraved and degenerate interactions until what you're looking at is not even sex. There are porn websites which are literally just videos of people torturing animals, and they're listed as pornography. And Knowles described it as, he referenced a philosopher whose name I forget, but the guy was talking about having your perceptions, expectations, and tastes mutated and perverted. And he said, imagine it like this. This is what porno does to your brain. You have your first strawberry, and it's delicious and you like it. And you decide, you know what? I want to try. I want a more strawberry. So you have it in a reduced sauce, and that's not concentrated and different enough. You need it to be more different. So you find yourself, okay, I'm going to try the strawberry flavored Jolly Rancher, and you want to go further. So you try the strawberry flavored, the strawberry Jolly Rancher flavored soda pop, and now you've gone so far away from what an actual strawberry is that you don't even recognize that anymore. Your taste has been shifted by your exploration into the continued corruption and perversion of the original material, that you don't even understand what a woman is. And so that's the only way in the socio-psychology, in the zeitgeist, that we can explain the idea that people can even debate whether a tall, busty blonde in her mid-20s is physically attractive to the human male.
Right.
You guys can hate on Pearl. You guys can hate on Pearl, and Pearl gets a lot of hate. But this is part of why I love Pearl, because A, Pearl would tell you that Sydney Sweeney is fine, and B, Pearl, she might be the female Andrew Tate, but damn, there are definitely some things she's right about. And
who is Pearl? I don't know who this person is.
You know who Pearl is.
She's the tall,
Pearly Things. She's the tall redhead.
Odd-looking redhead. Yeah.
Oh, the Valkyrie gun chick.
No. Never mind.
Okay, well, you lost me on that one.
I think it's just Cam has a giantess fetish, okay, and Pearl is like 6'2", and he wants to be abused and squashed. Okay.
Oh no! I met Pearl in real life.
He wants death by snoo snoo. Okay.
No, look, if I met Pearl in real life, no, bro, if I met her in real life, I'd shoot my shot. I'm unashamedly, I would shoot my shot, like right there on the spot. Be like, hey, I've been watching you since your YouTube channel only had like 10,000 subs. Anyhow, the point is, though.
Okay, Pearl Davis.
Yeah, Pearly Things. Yeah, and it's actually Hannah Davis, but her middle name is Pearl. So there we go.
Gotcha.
Anyhow, not trying to divert too hard. The point is, there's a lot of what you guys are saying that Pearl would agree with. It's just that.
And I said that I would tie the porno thing back into the AI. There's a lot of good reason to be concerned and to say that AI may be the downfall, the doom of us all. But there's one place where I think AI just might save us. Because a lot of the human trafficking and a lot of the abuse and degradation of our young women is happening through the porn industry.
This is about to get dark.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Pornhub is facing a lot of serious scrutiny right now. And we've said the P word several times now. I'm sure we're going to get throttled on YouTube over this. So check us out on Rumble. But the Pornhub has been busted facilitating human trafficking and having videos of underage girls online. And I mean, this is pure abuse.
Yeah. Here's
where AI comes in. Those videos are going to be AI generated. And what's going to happen is your men are going to start making videos that they know will draw the attention of men. And they're going to make it almost impossible, if not impossible, for actual women to make money in that space commercially. That's probably the most hopeful thing I can say about how AI will transform the internet.
I don't know, man. That's like the Dennis Prager argument.
It will murder OnlyFans.
It'll cut into OnlyFans, but it won't murder it. There will. I don't know that I agree with that. It'll take some market share from it, and it will make it easier to satisfy the more depraved things that that would require you to break the law without actually having to break the law. But the fact that it'll kill the OnlyFans model, nah, man. Until there's an entire paradigm shift in our whole society, the OnlyFans model is here to stay. Her popularity will wax and wane, but she's not going anywhere.
But what Chris is saying is fundamentally true. The internet at this point is just a.
Hey, Mario, bring your mic in a little bit.
The internet at this point is basically an assembly line designed to like turn teenage girls to porn. Okay, OnlyFans, that's what it is. It's a pipeline, and they advertise how much money certain influencers make doing that. Even though the average woman makes probably like $130 a month, from what I've read.
I heard like just 3 or 4 days ago that the average OnlyFans model makes $230 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Model.
Yeah. But still, it's. Oh God, the internet. I mean, it's like it commodifies everything, commodifies young people, and channels them into a really, really salacious business that, I mean, it should be banned. I mean, there are reasons why these things are banned. Okay, you can't. So you can't legislate morality. Well, yes, you can. That's what every society has ever done. That passed laws since Hammurabi's code. Okay, there are certain things that you can and you must just outright ban and prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. I think pornographers should get the rope, in my opinion.
Well, Yuri Bezmenov laid this all out. Yuri Bezmenov laid this all out for us. It's been a part of the Russian intelligence, weaponized intelligence mechanism against the U.S. as a nation for over 40 years. And it ties in the porn industry, it ties in feminism, it ties in the abortion industry. It's all about degrading women, breaking up the family, destroying the children, taking the children that aren't murdered and sacrificed on the altar to Moloch and twisting them through a public education system. It's all about basically election interference. I mean, it's very basic core, interfering with elections, guaranteeing political outcomes, breaking down the family, and forcing people into dependency on government. That's why we pay women to be broodmares, and we do not subsidize productive families with multiple children in any meaningful way.
Unverified is correct on 2 counts here. One, that with OnlyFans, it's not just about the prawn. It's about that fake emotional connection. Okay, which is
parasocial.
Parasocial connection. It's even more devious. Okay, because you're robbing like men of their vigor and robbing them of their like a desire to seek interaction outside of the screen in front of them. You know what I mean? And as far as like who does make the prawn, if you want to in your spare time, anyone listening to this, just look up who the CEO is of MindGeek, which is the parent organization of all these porn sites. Okay, it would shock you.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, I guess maybe
not at all.
Right. Yeah, at this point, now you're right. It wouldn't.
We don't have to say it in this context, but they're in the tunnels.
Yeah.
And so as parents with teenage girls, there's a scary world out there. We used to joke before any of the 3 of us were parents. I remember Mario taking too long in the shower at DLI, and we'd shout at each other and say things like, "I hope you have daughters that grow up. I hope you have a son that grows up to fall in love with a rough trick named Jim." Right? I mean, I hope your daughters are illiterate. Right? We, back and forth like that. I used to joke back then. I'd say, "God, I'm scared to death of having daughters, because if I've got a son, I've just got to worry about the one penis. But for every daughter I have to worry about all of them."
You dropped the most scathing line one day. The one that was the epitome of all of it. You told me that, Mario, I hope your children are successful in spite of you.
Okay,
I'm done. I'm done.
I'm keeping that one in my back pocket. That's
I lost.
Yeah, that was brutal. God, Mario, am I a monster? Apparently.
See, here's
one time Mario and I were doing pugils in training. And guys, I've probably got 100 pounds on Mario. Back then, we were both in great shape. I maybe only had him by 50 or 60 pounds,
yeah.
But Mario's a big, strong guy. I just happen to be a bigger, stronger guy. And Mario does not have a background in playing a bunch of combat sports and doing fighting with swords and boards and all that stuff. And they put us in the arena to do pugils, and I just hammered him, and he's laying on the ground beaten. And I stopped, and I started to reach down to help him up, and our drill sergeant said, "Lowry, what are you doing? You're not done here." And I just looked down at Mario laying there on the ground, and I said, "I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry."
Finish him.
See, I don't know.
Man's blood.
I don't know. No, actually, I do know. I don't agree with the banning of pornography, and the reason why I disagree is two-dimensional. One, somebody has to define pornography, and there are things that blur the line. I wish the world was black and white. Nothing would make me happier, but there are shades of gray in the world, and as soon as you give somebody with authority permission to define morality, the morality that they define inevitably will be a morality that allows them to continue to have authority.
Right.
So there's that. The other side of it is I'm okay with going back to shame. I'm okay with going back to some things are bad. Like, okay, is it mean to call the guy fat? Yes. But is it true? Might it be the thing that somebody like, I don't know, Chris Lowry needs to hear so that he can live to be 80 years old? Maybe. But, and yes, I threw in a dig right there at you, Chris. Right there. I promise I know it didn't hurt because it got lost in that gut. But so that's I understand.
Man, you are.
I understand the problem you're trying to solve by banning pornography, but you don't solve the problem. It's like anything else. We banned alcohol, and we created America's obsession with romanticizing the gangster.
And Dad mentions First Amendment, and yeah, and Cameron, you said, who decides what it is? Like, it's kind of like a push-up. You know it when you see it, right? Because there are some things, right? A photo of genitalia is not necessarily porn, right? There are such things as medical journals, as, we didn't do this, but some people like to film the baby being born. Right. And there is a reason for that. If you draw a hard line, it's very difficult to say where that hard line is. Does the baby on the bottle of the suntan bottle with the diaper getting pulled down by the puppy dog suddenly count as child porn? That's so, there is a line there that's very difficult to make rigid. I think it was Rand Paul that was talking about abortion law. He says it would be better. I don't remember exactly what his quote was, but basically, rather than make it illegal, it's better to make it unthinkable. And part of the argument there is, one of the arguments the left likes to make against banning abortion is if you make it illegal, people are just going to do it in the back alley with a coat hanger. Agreed. You know what? Okay, sure. There might be some of that, but what if you make it unthinkable? Right? the left for years and years has been pursuing this objective. I forget which fat chick comedian it was, but with her daughter on stage with her, said, "I wish I had had an abortion because I feel like I missed out on a part of the female experience." And then you had the one trashy chick she had the Netflix special where she did the shout your abortion thing.
Chelsea Handler or whatever.
Yeah, but they celebrate it. It should be unthinkable.
Yep.
It should be a thing that you feel shame over, and it should be a thing that you shame people over.
So to bring it back to and I promise this actually has a point, but to bring it back to the trans thing, there is a reason why for some time now I have just simply refused to play the pronoun game just altogether. I don't think you're doing anybody any favors by encouraging something that is going to put them in a position that will decrease their life expectancy, decrease their life quality, make them unable to orgasm, bear children, severely limit their choice of life partners in the world. I'm not going to play that game at all. I won't be rude. I won't be a dick about it, but don't insist that I call you anything other than your fucking God-given name. Okay, because you could piss right up a rope with all that. And I think that this is indicative, and it's something that the left has understood in a rules for radical sense in quite some time, that when you control the language and you control how the language defines morality and what is socially acceptable and tolerable and all that, now all of a sudden what I just said, God, Cameron, you're an asshole. Now, I actually think that is an extremely compassionate position to take. I think that it is moral. I think that it is wrong to take advantage of people that clearly have some kind of mental weakness or deficiency or however you want to define it. But instead, I'm the jerk. And so the line has to start somewhere where, no, I'm going to, in fact, the left loves to say this, speak your truth. Well, my truth is you were born with a penis, so you're a dude. And in following that line of truths, one of the truths is that there are, in fact, differences between men and women. Men tend to want to be violent and combative, and women tend to want to be submissive and structured and organized. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying that they complement each other. And
the facts are true.
And I'm not trying to, and look, I'm not trying to like go in too many different directions here, but the fact that we allow the language to be taken away from us, it goes back to the unthinkable thing. It goes back to, okay, fine. We don't have to make abortions illegal if people would just stop getting so many fucking abortions.
Yeah, right.
Like, it would.
So, like you said about making it unthinkable, bringing back the aspect of shame. Okay. Part of the problem with the internet is that people are so atomized on the internet that collective sense of shame doesn't exist. Okay. But if you want to look at a real example of how that could work, okay, for any given thing, whether it be abortion, prawn, okay, etc. Well, I mean, look at what was done with the idea of racism. Okay. Whether like right or wrong, racism is, like you say, is one of those things that's unthinkable. Okay, you just can't do it, right? Because the backlash would be so strong against you that no one could bear it. So you have to create the same stigma, okay, around being openly racist, right, in public. Make that the same consequences as like with the prawn or with OnlyFans, okay, etc. So I don't agree with any of the arguments, okay, about racism bad, because racism was invented by communists, okay, the term itself. Racism is just in-group preference, and in-group preference is desirable and a good thing, and that's the only reason that communities or ethnicities or nations have ever existed, was from in-group preference, okay. But using the left's model, okay, of massive public shame over racism, and using something like that to our end to basically combat a social ill like prawn, that I think that would be a good thing. how that's going to work in praxis, I don't know, but that's that's
In
the idea
praxis.
as an example.
Praxis.
Well, for one, we need to be creating. We need to be creating cultural commentary media, and I'm not just talking about doing shows like this, which obviously I'm going to continue to do. But we need to start. I know you guys are busy as hell, so I'm looking around for other old vet guys like me that have the time to put into it. I want to do more stuff like the SpaghettiOs video, stuff where it's just a silly, shareable, funny little video that definitely contains a pro-gun or pro-free speech or pro-family type of message, and work to build that, and that's like, the links in the description for the Buy Me a Coffee thing. That's what I'm trying to get people funding there is I want to do that kind of media stuff. And like this morning I was talking to a private investigator that hopefully be doing a little work with in the not too distant to compile some dossiers. I'm serious as a heart attack when I say we need to start pursuing gun grabbers, anybody who's ever been an elected politician who signed a bill, who signed any legislation referring to gun control, and we need to pursue them and prosecute them for violations of their oath of office, the Constitution, Section 242 and Section 241. That's what we need to. That's how we do this, right? We were talking about it in the thread a little bit the other yesterday or day before, and I think it was. Well, I won't use everybody's names. A couple of our guys were saying they want to see major consequences for all the terrible things that Joe Biden's done, and Hillary Clinton was mentioned in there. We never locked them up, and that needs to happen. And I made the point: no. As much as I'd love to see them get their comeuppance, I would love to see their uppance come on them. I'm much more interested strategically in going after your Fannie Willis's, your Judge Merchants, those guys, right? All these corrupt prosecutors that were the foot soldiers, right? That were the foot soldiers who forwarded the whole conspiracy and activity against Donald Trump, election interference, and all that stuff. I want to see them ruined. I want to see them disbarred, debanked, bankrupted, and absolutely destitute, so that anybody else who might have thought of going that route to wealth and power says, whoa, the risk side of the risk reward matrix just got a lot thicker. So I might be able to make money screwing over politicians. I might be able to make money breaking the law, but now there are consequences for that shit.
Would you like to see them left with no other avenue for income but to get on OnlyFans and debase themselves for a few dollars at a time?
Boy, that would be the irony.
I would like to see Fannie Willis forced to have no choice.
I would not like to see Fannie Willis do anything.
You would subscribe.
Destroy the entire OnlyFans economy with AI.
Yeah.
I want to push them all to that last avenue and then take it away from them.
Yeah, I don't care how much gorilla grip it's got. Like, it just, I don't.
I didn't know she had a kung fu grip.
I'm going to stop pursuing this line of conversation.
Yeah, that's probably
it's
yeah. Oof. Well, no, look, most of us don't rob banks because stealing are bad. And we were taught that as children, and we understand it on a deep psychological level. But there are some people where the only reason they don't rob banks is it's going to the federal penitentiary if you get caught.
The reason I don't rob banks is there's not enough money in it.
Look, the point is, most people would not lie to screw over another human being because they have enough empathy to realize that is a terrible thing to do.
Right.
There are some people that choose to screw over another human being with lies because there are no consequences. It almost wouldn't matter who we visited these consequences on. Once it's understood, well, hold on now, there's actually a line, and once you cross it, that you might be in a full-on FAFO situation, I think that would deter at least some of this behavior. We're at 8:20, and we haven't even mentioned the other thing that I really wanted to get to. Can we do it? Can we talk about Crystal Magnum? Can we get there?
We can, but before we get there, in the context of the whole shaming thing and sending messages, y'all, there was this one spot in Afghanistan that we like to hang out. It was super safe.
The answer is no, Cameron.
It was super safe. This is just an example. It was super safe in this one particular spot in Afghanistan in the middle of a war raging everywhere. And it was safe there for the women, for the children, and for the U.S. soldiers because there was one guy, Haji Ghani. He owned the local quarry, and he had an old soccer beef from finishing school with the Taliban leader in the area at the time. And he would take anybody suspected of activity with the Taliban and Al-Qaeda there, and he would hang them from the gates in front of his quarry, and he would write in Arabic either Taliban or Al-Qaeda on their bodies as he hanged them there. And so those dudes didn't come around the quarry. They didn't come around J-Town. They stayed the hell away. So if you wanted to be able to walk around in public without body armor on and buy a lamb shank from the market, you went over by Haji Ghani's place. It was cool. That shit works. Making the example, right? So yes, Fannie Willis. So basically what I'm saying is yes, Fannie Willis needs to be relegated to OnlyFans, and then we shut it down.
Fair enough.
Crystal Magnum.
What is Crystal Magnum?
Yes. Crystal Magnum? Well, she's the opposite of Ebony Molecule. See, that joke had layers. That joke had layers. Okay, no. Damn near 20 years ago, there was the whole Duke Lacrosse thing. Where the stripper, yes, accused the Duke Lacrosse players of like gang raping her. And from the beginning, a lot of us were very suspicious. Not saying that it's impossible for these things to happen, but let's be honest. If you're a 20-something-year-old athlete at an elite school like Duke, you don't need to rape anybody. There are women who would just be willing to do whatever you want. Okay. And the situation always seemed very suspicious. Well, after Crystal Magnum killed her boyfriend, which is a whole separate thing, somehow she has made an appearance on a podcast and has basically said, "Oh yeah, I lied, and I feel so terrible about it." Now, it was ruinous, and it wasn't just the players that she accused of the rape. No. That entire team was disbanded. Like everybody involved with the Duke Lacrosse team got screwed over by her lie. And
she essentially told one lie and ruined dozens of men.
Yeah. Look, this goes back to what I was saying earlier about just saying the thing and not being afraid to use the language. If a thing looks a certain way, you're allowed to say that. If it feels a certain way, you're allowed to say that. Speak your truth. Well, my truth was that situation was always suspicious. Just like my truth was when Juicy Smollett said, "This is MAGA country" at 2 a.m. in Chicago, I was like, no, I don't think that happened. I'm going to take things that never happened for 800, Alex. Because, like, I am a MAGA guy. Oh, you that Empire N-word. I had to Google what Empire was. Like,
yeah, when that happened, I had no idea who the guy was. And, you know, this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about the propaganda machine. Y'all, be honest. Nobody honestly believes that anybody, especially the multiple celebrities and politicians that came out in support of Jussie Smollett and his hoax, nobody honestly believes that any of those people ever believed that it was anything other than a hoax. They just thought they could run with it and get away with it.
You're saying Kamala Harris was lying? What?
No, yeah, I know. It's a shocker, right?
Well, I don't know that I agree with that entirely, because there are people that believed the Crystal Magnum story. They're like
Yeah, they're
the whole hashtag Me Too thing. Believe all women.
Well, I was talking
It-
specifically about the Jesse Smollett thing. That
Well,
because
not just the Jesse Smollett thing. I think that because the narrative has been so stripped from us, and because we are so afraid to say, no, that guy looks like he's lying, that chick looks like she's lying, that situation looks suspicious. Like, there is no greater example than the 2020 election, when we went to bed and Pennsylvania was red, and then we woke up in the morning and somehow Pennsylvania had flipped blue. And it got to a point to where even making that joke on YouTube would get you a strike. So as I talk about these things, and I talk about the Crystal Magnum story, and I talk about being allowed to say what things appear to be, I'm referencing in that context specifically. I think that there were people that believed the Crystal Magnum story. I think that there were people that believed the Juicy Smollett story. There might have even been other celebrities that believed the Juicy Smollett story, because they're so atomized, they're so far removed from reality that they can't comprehend just having a normal conversation. There's this clip, and I meant to bring it up, and I meant to find it so that we could reference it. But Ben Affleck went on oh my God, politically incorrect, with Bill Maher. Ben Affleck went on Bill Maher's show, and they were talking about religious violence. And Bill Maher made a statement along the lines of, Islam has more violence than any other religion. And Ben Affleck was horrified to the point of like being damn near in tears. I can't believe you would say that, and all of this stuff. Well, what do you mean you can't believe he would say that? All these things. He was just stating a fact that Islam does have more violence as part of its religion than any other religion. And so, but Ben couldn't process it. He couldn't internalize that no, Bill Maher's not being offensive. He's just making an observation. He's just saying, hey, when I look at this set of facts, here's the pattern that seems to naturally emerge from me. So, well, what set of facts were here? Well, the set of facts that were here with the Crystal Magnum situation was like, why would they do this? None of this makes absolutely any sense. If they have the money for private strippers, I mean, frankly, they have the money for private escort girls. There's not much difference. So
they have sororities. That's even better.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even have to. They don't even have to pay for it. So. I go back to this ties into the shame. This ties into all of it. Like, stop being afraid to say the thing. I know it's hard. I get it. We are social creatures, and we seek the approval of our fellow man. And it has actually allowed us to build all of this that you see, because we care about what one another thinks. Right. And because we care about what one another thinks, we should push back. And we should unashamedly say, no, Crystal Magnum was lying. She was lying the entire time. And some of us said from the beginning, man, it looks like this bitch is lying. Like, it's not just the Duke lacrosse players that are owed an apology. It's everybody. Now, them especially. I'm not saying I'm in the same victim category as them. But all of us are owed an apology. And for everything, boys or girls. I mean, boys are boys and girls are girls. And the 2020 election looks suspicious. And just because you have surgery doesn't mean you've suddenly changed your gender. And,
Yeah. So I'm going to try to tie this all the way back to the beginning and just try to create some sense of this show, which has been all over the place, right? So you say, don't be afraid to say the thing, right? Well, yeah, that's exactly what you should say to your teenage daughter. Okay, make sure that your daughter knows that she can basically ask you anything. Just that's what I tell that's what I tell my teenage daughter. Like, I'm not going to be mad if you ask me a question. but I'm going to give you an honest answer, and you need to understand that. Okay. So you can come to me and you can ask me anything. Just, you
just better be prepared.
Don't be surprised if what I tell you isn't nice. Right?
You get in that car, you better put on a seatbelt.
Yeah. Don't let them go wandering on the internet, and seeing things that they're not ready for, and honestly things that shouldn't exist. All right. And yeah, I mean, this girl who shot up the school was clearly like simmering with a mental health crisis, okay, for at least a year, okay. And what kind of prescription medication was she on? You know what I mean? That's like the X factor we don't know about yet. But like I said, you may not, your teen daughter, she's beautiful, cute, okay. She just makes you happy just by looking at her and knowing that that's your daughter. You know what I mean? But there might be like spiders in her head, crafting these webs of deceit. And you need to talk to her, and you need to find a way to access that, and basically be like the strong male father figure that she needs, and someone that she can confide in. Okay, like there's things you can tell me, and I'm not going to tell mommy. Okay, maybe that's not good parenting, but that's the way I see it. Make sure that they know that they can ask you anything, and that you will answer them honestly. So,
well, if you're divorced, it's easy to not tell their mother.
Yeah, I was trying not to actually say that, but yes, correct. Can we?
See, that's funny for me and you, not for Chris at all.
I know. Can we end with you modeling that very attractive Christmas sweater that you're trying to low key trying to hide there?
Well, no, this is what I was low key trying to do.
We got it. Just like my Super Mario mug. Okay. Yep.
Right. Oh no! Like, look. Yeah. Look at that.
Oh wow.
Look at that.
Oh
yeah.
It's like I'm feeling.
Out. Yeah.
That's absolutely that's Griswoldian. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
You realize I take that as a compliment.
I know. I meant it as such.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right. Well, I guess we're going to put a pin in it right there. I got some shit to do today. Y'all be safe out there. Thanks for watching this morning. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao.